In today's video, we're going to take a look at my updated Game Week 30 wildcard, as well as talking about my chip strategy for the remainder of the season. Before we dive into today's video, I just want to say that we're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the season, so if you do want to help me hit that goal, be sure to like, comment, and of course the main one being subscribe to help us achieve that goal. Now, since I last did a kind of wildcard video, which was last week, there obviously has been some huge changes in the kind of FPL world. We've got the double Game Week 34 confirmed and announced, as well as a blank in Game Week 34 for Spurs. Now, this has obviously impacted my wildcard, as we will come on to see the changes that have taken place in the next few weeks. But I thought we would start off today's video discussing what it has meant for my chip strategy and potentially your chip strategy as well, because it's obviously going to have some implications where games are played, blanks are played, all that good stuff. So let's take a look at the fixtures that were announced for Game Week 34. As you can see, the ones in yellow are the teams that will be doubling. This is all from Ben Krellin's spreadsheet. As always, there will be a link to his work. Amazing man, puts in so much kind of time and effort into these spreadsheets. He deserves a lot more credit, because at the end of the season, when it's all this double game weeks, potential blanks, he is the go-to guy. So this kind of spreadsheet is the ultimate asset for every FPL manager. So like I said, there will be a link to that if you want to go and check that out and give him some support as well. Starting off with the doubles then, as you can see, they're the ones in yellow, and the big one being a Tottenham blank in Game Week 34 as well. So that has potentially impacted some of my chip strategy. It now means I'm definitely locked in for that 34 free hit. I've got two Spurs players, as you'll come on to see, in the wildcard draft, so we are obviously going to have them. We've got quite a few Chelsea players as well coming up in the draft as well, so that means that they're playing Arsenal that week. So again, we want a free hit, get them out for 1 week. Then obviously there is the potential two doubles in either 35 or 36 for Spurs and Chelsea. Just depends which way they go round. I think as a better set, probably maybe Game Week 36, but it's very hard to call. Very difficult double game week for both sides in there. Not too many positive fixtures, but at the end of the day, it is a double game week and every single point matters coming up to the conclusion of the season. And then, as you can finally see, we do have the Game Week 37 doubles that are pretty much going to be confirmed over the next few weeks, and that is where we will be bench boosting, and that is where a lot of conscious effort has gone into this wildcard, kind of focusing a little bit more long term. Players that have good fixtures in the next few weeks, potential doubles in 35 and 36, and obviously doubles in 37 as well. So I think that's enough waffle from me, but like I said, to confirm the chip strategy for this week and kind of the rest of the season, it is going to be a 34 free hit, and it is going to be a 37 bench boost. If you've got any questions about your chip strategy or any other kind of questions around blanks or double game weeks, leave it in the comments and I will try to help you out and answer as many questions as I can. And wasting no time and diving straight into the Game Week 30 wildcard draft, we are going to go with Petrovic in goal. Now, I've had kind of a little bit of a change of kind of heart in my goalkeeper selection, all basically down to the doubles and my chip strategy obviously updating. Chelsea do have some pretty strong fixtures coming up. Burnley this week, Sheffield United in Game Week 32, Everton in 33, then the potential double in 35 or 36, and then the double in 37 as well. So definitely want to be loading up on those Chelsea assets. What we've done as well is we have gone for the goalkeeper pairing of Petrovic and Onana, something I imagine is going to become very template for people that are wildcarding in 31, maybe, you know, Game Week 30 as well, and then probably the 35 wildcarders as well. It's going to be a very, very popular chip strategy with both these teams obviously doubling in 37. It means you have a goalkeeper on the bench that's got a double, so when we play that bench boost, we're in prime position to obviously go and take full advantage of that. Right, moving on to our defenders. We're going to start off with Lascelles from Newcastle. Obviously, if you have been living under a rock, there was the announcement that Sven Botman has picked up a long-term injury for Newcastle, meaning that Lascelles is probably going to be playing. 3.9 million for him. You cannot go wrong at that price point. And Newcastle, they do have some very good fixtures coming up. West Ham, Everton, Fulham, Tottenham, Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, Burnley, then the double of Brighton and Manchester United and Brentford on the final day. I think Lascelles could be a very, very easy hold. I think for Newcastle, their probably end goals for the season are just going to be to put in as many strong performances as possible, pick up as many points as possible as well, to get as much prize money out of the Premier League. Obviously, no European competitions or cup competitions as well, so their sole focus is primarily just going to be on the Premier League, so there's probably not going to be too much rotation as well. So for 3.9 million, a player with pretty good fixtures coming up and a double in 37, I think he is a great selection to go and have on your wildcard. Moving on to a man that is currently flagged, and it is going to be Gusto. Now, he's flagged for illness, so he's probably going to be fine for this weekend. Again, Burnley for him, very similar to what we spoke about with Petrovic. Some strong fixtures coming up, potentially 2 double game weeks as well. He is the most creative, kind of attacking outlet within that back line for me. And for his price point of 4.2 million, I don't think you can go wrong on that one, to be honest. So I think Gusto, again, probably going to be very template over the next few weeks. Moving on to our next defender, and it is going to be Udogie. Spurs have got some pretty good fixtures leading into that blank game week 34 for them. Obviously, with my chip strategy, I will be free hitting out Udogie and the potentially other Son. Maybe Son's in this. Who knows? Potentially Son as well. Obviously, we'll come on to talk about that one. But yeah, they're obviously players that aren't going to kind of remain within this team in that 34 free hit. But obviously they will have back-to-back doubles, potentially 35, 36 or 37 as well. So I think it is definitely worth having at least 2 Spurs assets if you are wildcarding this week or potentially next week as well. Interestingly, I was taking a look at this. Dragovic, I think it is. I think that's his name. The new guy that they signed. I think if the long-term injury is for the other centre-back, can't quite remember off the top of my head, but he's 4.2 million. So if he's playing week in, week out, played about 40 minutes in game week 28, then in game week 29 played a full 90. I do need to go and do a little bit more research on this, but I think for 4.2 million, I think he could be an absolute steal if you are a little bit stretched for budget. But I do need to do a little bit more research on that one, so I will let you know if that does become a potential option. I'll announce that on my Twitter if you do want to go and drop us a follow on there. Right, let's move on into our midfield. We're going to start off with Bukayo Saka. Some pretty good fixtures after the after the Manchester City game for Arsenal as well. With them being in the title race, I do feel like they are a team I want to kind of, invest in a few players on. Obviously, you can see we've got Gabriel on the bench. We've got Saka in there as well. And after game week 34, some pretty good fixtures coming up. Obviously, the North London derby, Bournemouth, United and Everton. Pretty solid set of fixtures, to be honest. And I feel like Saka is one of those players that has done tremendously well since the turn of the year in the Premier League. So I'm very, very happy to have him in my side. Moving on to, obviously, the thumbnail man, it is going to be Cole Palmer, a very, very popular asset this week, the second most transferred in player, and for very good reason. He is absolutely fantastic, value for money, ladies and gentlemen, and offers himself up as a potential captaincy option in this game week with Burnley at home. They are pretty dreadful. They're going to go down. There's no way if they survive, I'll hold my hands up, but I can't see Vincent Kompany and the Burnley boys doing it. They're definitely a team you should be looking to target now up until the end of the season as well. So I think Cole Palmer is an excellent asset. Like we spoke about with the other Chelsea boys as well, there is potential for back-to-back double game weeks as well for him. So again, offer himself up as a captaincy option, takes the penalties, and his per 90 data is absolutely phenomenal, ladies and gentlemen. So a very, very good player to go and pick up. Moving on to our next midfielder, and I kind of alluded to him a little bit earlier, maybe a little bit of a tease from me, but it is going to be Son. Obviously a very, very good player indeed to have in. We all know what this man is capable of. Very capable of picking up the double-digit hauls, and like we spoke about, yes, they have the blank, but we're going to free hit out of that one. Then the potential for double game weeks coming up as well, back-to-back double game weeks, 35, 36 or 37. So again, a very nice player with us having that free hit in hand that we can obviously get in, not worry about the blank too much, and get a quality player in for those double game weeks. Again, offering himself up as a fantastic captaincy option in those weeks. Moving on to the next player, it is going to be Mohamed Salah. Starting to pick up some form in the Europa League as well. Starting to gain that momentum back from the injury that he picked up at AFCON. Obviously, Liverpool don't have any doubles after game week 34, but they do have some very strong fixtures coming up leading into that for me, and that's why I've personally gone for Mohamed Salah. Brighton, Sheffield United, Manchester United and Crystal Palace. Post-game week 34, West Ham, Tottenham, Aston Villa and Wolves. Probably going to be a player I will just hold for the rest of the season, unless obviously he becomes an injury doubt or whatever. whatever. You know how the game goes. But for me, probably just going to hold him for the rest of the season. Game week 31, he probably is going to be my captain against Sheffield United. Crystal Palace is a pretty kind of appetizing fixture as well. And then in the free hit in 34, maybe you've not got that free hit in hand, then Salah would be an ideal player I would be looking to have on my game week 30 wildcard. Right, let's go and move into the forward line. We're going to start off with Erling Haaland. Now, I do think there is a potential case to be had that potentially you could go without him up until maybe game week 35. But for me personally, I think I'm just going to hold him for the remainder of the season. City do have a double penciled in for game week 37, if I'm just looking here. It's going to be Fulham and Tottenham potentially in that one. So probably, again, a very good captaincy shout for that. There are some other pretty okay fixtures coming up for Manchester City as well. 33, they do play Luton. 32, they do play Crystal Palace. So there's definitely going to be some weeks you will want to captain Erling Haaland. He probably will be the most captain player during those easy fixtures as well. So I think, you know, there is a case to be had that potentially could go without him for the next few weeks. But for me, if I'm on the wild card, I think it just saves a transfer down the line. Get one of the best players in the world, in the game as well, in my side. He's very capable of doing damage against the top sides as well. It's going to be an interesting game to see which way the Manchester City-Arsenal game goes. You feel whoever does win that game probably is going to focus their efforts more on Premier League or potentially more on Champions League football, but we'll have to wait and see how that one kind of all pans out over the weekend. Right, moving on to my next forward, it is going to be Dominic Solanke. Now, a lot of people are going for Darwin Núñez. I think that's a very good shout. Obviously, like we spoke about with Mohamed Salah, some very good fixtures coming up, but Dominic Solanke, he has been a very, very consistent kind of asset to hold throughout the remainder of the whole duration of this season. They've got some pretty good fixtures coming up in the next three as well. Everton, Palace, Luton, Manchester United, not the easiest game, but obviously Bournemouth did win at Old Trafford earlier this season. And then you've obviously got the double, but we're free hitting, so that doesn't matter too much. Post that, the fixtures do take a little bit of a dive, but Brighton in game week 35, you know, it's another player that I don't have to potentially worry about till later on. Then I can replace him in 37 for one of the other players that doubles, maybe see who's hot during that time period. You know, I think Dominic Solanke, just a very nice player to have in your team for the next few weeks. I probably will take him out in game week 36 for a doubler in 37, maybe even one of the maybe one of the Chelsea or Spurs boys, but we'll see what kind of the situation is when we get to that period in the game. Right, moving on to my final forward. It's going to be the second Newcastle player in the team. It is going to be Isak. Obviously, a double coming up for Newcastle in game week 37, but up until then, the fixtures are ridiculously strong, like we spoke about with Lascelles, and when this guy is fit, he is very, very capable of putting in some very impressive performances and scores as well. So for me, I think again, he's going to be one of those players that is probably going to come quite template over the next few weeks, especially as we approach that double game week. My only concern with him is his fitness. He's never able to really keep himself fit, so hopefully he can manifest that and kind of keep himself fit for a large proportion of the kind of rest of the season. But that was the team. Let's have a quick run through of the bench. We briefly spoke about Onana, obviously having a double game week player in there, pretty good. Garnacho is one of my favourite enablers in the game. I've been saying this for a few weeks now. Obviously, again, a double for Manchester United in 37. Some okay fixtures in there as well coming up for them. Sheffield United, Burnley. Again, he can just rotate in and out of the side when I need him. You know, I'm not too arsed about benching a 4.95 million player. I think he is now, so you know, it is what it is. Van Heck is an interesting one. I'm stuck between Van Heck and Branthwaite at the moment. Both do double, but I do feel like Everton do have the slightly better fixtures over the next few weeks leading up until 37, so if I do need a player to play, I think Branthwaite might be that slight better option than Van Heck, but I think it's a 50-50 split, so we're going to have to wait and see on that one. And then finishing up, we do have Gabriel from Arsenal. Obviously withdrew from the Brazil international side, so we are going to have to wait and see what kind of fitness state he's in. Obviously, if he's not fit and available, I probably will just switch to Saliba. That was my Game Week 30 wildcard. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section. If you've got any questions about your team or potential chip strategy as well, leave it in the comments as well. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck this game week.